Hare Krishna, everyone. In this Bhagavad Gita session, we're going to look at chapter 7, verse 14. So, chapter 7 is about knowledge of the Absolute. So, the verse goes, Devi hi esha guna mai mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam edam tarantite. English translation. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So, brief explanation of this verse. So Krishna says, this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature. So Krishna has innumerable energies, and all his energies are divine. So we have the material energy, the spiritual energy, the marginal energy. So living entities would be the marginal energy. They are superior to the material energy, superior to material nature. But it's just that the living entities, because of coming in contact with material energy, the original superior power is covered. And actually this energy of Krishna, which comprises the three modes of material nature, which make an individual forget his original nature, that energy is also a divine energy, because although material nature is inferior, it's described as divine because of its divine connection to the Supreme Lord, and it's being conducted, so it's being supervised by Krishna. So although its material nature is inferior, it's being used by the Supreme Lord in construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. So we know this material energy, Maya, which has its grip on every embodied living entity. This Maya, it's false, it's temporary. And we know that Krishna is the supreme controller of this energy. So all living entities are bound by the three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And because of that, living entities are bewildered and have forgotten their eternal relationship with Krishna. So the Jiva Atma, however, he can choose to serve Krishna or Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord. So people are mad for sense gratification, and they are very, very much addicted to serving Maya, and so living entities become bound to this material world by the ropes of illusion, and they cannot be released by their own pious activities or knowledge, but only by surrender to Krishna and his pure devotees. So Krishna says, those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross it. So because it's this energy of Krishna, it's insurmountable, it's very powerful. Only Krishna can release the conditioned soul when he orders his energy. Out of his causeless mercy, he orders his energy to release the conditioned soul. So only Krishna can do that. We can try our best, but it's not going to be possible. So even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are under the influence of Maya, and only Vishnu, who is the master of Maya, only Krishna alone can give release to the conditioned soul. Even Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur evana samshaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. So just quickly, we'll look at what surrender means. So surrender means to follow the instructions of Krishna and his pure devotees with all faith and sincerity. And what are the instructions of Krishna in this age of Kali? The instructions are: chant the holy name, hear the glories, pastimes of the Lord, render service unto him, carry out the process of Bhakti Yoga. Right, so Krishna's energies. So we mentioned that Krishna has 3 types of energies: the superior energy, the inferior energy, and marginal energy. So this energy Krishna is talking about, this is material nature. It's an inferior energy. So the eternal soul identifies with material nature to be the self. And therefore, because of this, he gets bound by the ropes of illusory energy. So, guna means rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. And we know that a man, for instance, who is bound by the hands and the feet, he cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound, because the person who is bound cannot help. So we can see here as a person who's bound, he cannot help that other person who is bound too. So we need to be helped by somebody, by people who are not bound by the ropes of illusory energy. So only Krishna, or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can actually free us from the bondage of material energy. Only Krishna can release us. So obviously in this material world there's so many miseries, adhyatmika, adhibodhika, adhidevika, miseries which arise from the mind and body, miseries inflicted by other living beings, adhidevika, these miseries are arising from natural calamities over which we have no control. So this material world is full of miseries, and we're constantly like puppets. We have the modes of material nature acting on us: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. However, the living entity can choose whether, because we're the marginal energy, we're between the spiritual and material, we can choose whether we want to associate with the spiritual energy, or we want to associate with the material energy. We have free choice. And when we choose to serve Krishna, then the material energy does not act on us strongly. It backs off. Maya backs off. In this world, people are they are serving Maya. Maya is very cunning. She actually she presents very seducing ideas to us. We always have the hope that if we serve Maya, we will succeed. We will be happy. So Maya, she seduces us with green, lush grass, and we're like little calves, and we're just attracted by this grass. And then Maya presents us with a little bit of grass further away, and we move on, and we're always thinking that the grass is greener elsewhere, that we will be happy if we just take this step forward and acquire something that we like. We're always it's the promise. Maya is always giving us this promise of happiness if we do this, if we do that. But the truth is, happiness is in this material world. It's a temporary thing, and there's no such thing as true happiness. And if we become the slave of Maya, Maya is not a very good master. She'll just kick us all the time. We're being kicked by Maya, but still we run after Maya and we want to serve her with the hope of being happy. Basically, it's like a bit like donkeys. So if we attach a carrot in the front of a donkey's head, the donkey will always want the carrot, and he'll think that if he moves a little bit more, he'll catch the carrot. And so the donkey is constantly running after a carrot, which he will never be able to catch because it's attached to his head. So in the same way, we need to be clever, and we need to understand that Maya, she is not somebody, she's not who we should be serving. We should be serving Krishna. Krishna can liberate us from Maya, the illusory energy, and he can take us back to the spiritual world where there's only happiness. So we were looking at surrender. So what is the meaning of surrender? We can only surrender if we understand what it means. So as we said earlier, surrender means if we surrender to somebody, that means we allow ourselves to be guided by that person. We take their instructions on board fully. So if we surrender to Krishna, that means that we follow his instructions. The instructions he gives us, we follow them. Rather than saying, I'll discard these instructions and I'll just do what I want. So that doesn't mean we're surrendering. So we need to have faith in the teachings of gurus, faith in Krishna's instructions. We need to render service to the gurus, the pure devotees, inquire submissively from them and act according to their instructions. We know the guru, the bona fide guru in the parampara, the disciplic succession, is a representative of Krishna. So Krishna he's so merciful. He's very sad that living entities are so miserable, and he wants to help. So he comes in the form of the guru whom we can speak to, who can guide us. So surrender means to act according to Krishna's and Guru's instructions, because this material ocean is very vast. It's very, very vast, and if we think we can cross this material nature, this ocean of material nature, on our own, say we're a good swimmer, we go to the sea, right, and we think that we can cross the ocean by swimming based on our good swimming ability, then that is ludicrous. Because however good a swimmer we are, we cannot cross the ocean, which is so vast. However, when we take shelter of Krishna and Guru, this vast ocean of material nature shrinks to the size of the hoof prints of a calf. We can then easily cross it. So how small is a calf? And we know the footprints are really, really small. So if we imagine water in this hoof print of the calf, it's so easy to cross it, as opposed to a vast ocean. So in the same way, this is the analogy. So when we take shelter of Krishna and Guru, it's so easy to cross this material nature, which is unsurmountable. So the lotus feet of the great saintly persons who teach Krishna consciousness to others are like a boat. So gurus are there They're giving us all instructions, everything for us to break free from the shackles of material nature, Maya. And all we have to do is take those instructions. So the boat is there, and all we need to do is board this boat while we can. So the choice is ours if we want to board this boat, which will take us very safely to the other side of the lake or the river. So this boat, it's our choice whether we want to swim, we want to attempt to swim, or we'll climb on board. The choice is ours. So surrender, we're still looking at surrender here. So here in this picture on the left, what we're seeing is Lord Ramachandra, and this is on the right here is the demigod of the aquatics, Varunadev. So we know in Ram Leela, Lord Ram, he needed to cross the ocean to Lanka to save Sita, to rescue Sita. So the Lord, he fasted for so many days because he wanted to please Varunadev and ask him for permission to cross his ocean, his sea. We know Varunadev is a demigod in charge of the aquatics, of water. So Lord Ramachandra asked very nicely for Varunadev to allow him to pass. But Varunadev, being a very busy person, you can imagine how many aquatics there are to take charge of. He was busy and he did not pay any attention to the requests of Lord Ram. Now, there's one thing we need to understand. Lord Ram, he's not just an ordinary human who is unable to cross the ocean. He is a supreme lord. He created the ocean. And Varunadev and all the demigods are his servants, and they're empowered by him. So Lord Ram, he did not have to do this. He didn't have to fast. He didn't have to ask for permission. However, because the Lord was playing the role of a human being, and out of respect, and he wanted to show us how to be respectful, he wasn't puffed up. Although he's a supreme lord, Lord Ram, he wasn't puffed up. He behaved in a very humble way, in a very respectful way. The Lord of Aquatics ignored him, and then Lord Ram, he got really, really angry, and he glanced at the ocean, and just by his glance, the ocean started to dry out. The temperature became so high, all the aquatics were in distress, and that disturbed the aquatics so much. So Varunadev then came to his senses. He saw that Lord Ram was drying out his sea, so he quickly he surrendered to Lord Ram. He fell to the lotus feet of Lord Ram to ask for forgiveness. So what happened is Varunadev, he thought that his powers were his property, that the aquatics, the sea, was his property. But it's not. He had just forgotten that he was just a servant of the Lord. So when we use the property of the Lord for our own enjoyment, then we get disturbed like the aquatics who were agitated by Lord Ram's anger. So we need to understand that we're not the proprietor of anything in this world. Everything is owned by the Supreme Lord. So what we can see here is the building of the bridge. So we know the Hanuman and the army of monkeys, they built this bridge by writing the name of the Supreme Lord Ram on each and every boulder, each and every rock. before tossing it into the sea. Excuse me. So when they tossed the rock, it would float on the ocean. If there were any rocks that were tossed without writing the name of Ram on it, that rock would sink. So here what Lord Ramachandra is showing us is that only by taking the support of the holy name at every step can we cross the ocean of material existence. So we can build a bridge of the holy name which will carry us to the spiritual world, ultimately to the spiritual kingdom of the Lord. So the bridge of the holy name is what we need to build. In Kali Yuga, the instruction of Krishna and Guru is to chant the holy name with faith. So Lord Chaitanya himself came, who is Krishna. He came 500 years ago and he taught us how to surrender. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, he gave instructions to the living beings to surrender unto him. We remember that verse where he says, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. Do not fear. And he said he would give all protection. So he came in the form of Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago in Navadvip to show us how to surrender, because we had forgotten his instructions over time. He came to teach us, and he gave us the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as the means in this age of Kali to deliver us. So the Lord has empowered his holy name with all his potencies. His holy name is non-different from himself. So when we take shelter of this holy name, that's when we can build our bridge to the spiritual world. So the Mahamantra he gave us is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's a very simple mantra that can be chanted anywhere and everywhere. And anyone can chant that, even children. So here we're looking at an example of an exalted devotee who surrendered to the Lord. So this is the story of Gajendra. Gajendra was the king of elephants. He was living in a forest. I think it's called Trikuta Mountains. He was living there with his she elephants. He had a very great life. Everyone respected him because he was the king of elephants. Even the tigers were afraid of him. So one day Gajendra went to a lake together with his companions, his partners. He was thirsty, so they were drinking and they were splashing water on one another with their trunk. They were having fun. But at that time, the splashing of the water attracted the attention of a big crocodile who was living there. That crocodile, he heard this and he became very annoyed, and he appeared on the scene, and as you can see here, he clamped Gajendra's paw in his mouth. And when Gajendra he felt the bite of the crocodile, he tried to free himself, but he couldn't. There was a big struggle between Gajendra and the crocodile, and it went on for days and days, and the she elephants had to leave. And this poor Gajendra elephant was left on his own, struggling in pain and agony. We know that elephants are strong on ground, but in water, the crocodile had an advantage because he is an aquatic. So the crocodile was very, very strong as well, and there was such a big struggle. And Gajendra, he tried to free himself over days and days. The struggle went on, and Gajendra started to become weak and tired, and he was desperate. He couldn't find relief from his situation. And then, because in his previous life he was a pious king who was a devotee of the Lord, and then as a king there was a mantra he was chanting. He remembered, by the mercy of the Lord, he remembered this mantra, and he started to offer prayers, to chant this mantra in a helpless state to the Lord, in a mood of total surrender. So far, he had been trying to struggle to liberate himself by his own endeavors, but he wasn't successful. But then he gave up, and he was totally surrendered to the Lord. My Lord, I cannot free myself. Please help me. And he was utterly helpless. In that state, when he called out to the Lord, he called out with so much helplessness, total surrender. His prayers reached Vaikuntha Lok, and Lord Hari heard his prayers, and quickly, very hastily, he mounted Garuda and quickly went to the scene to rescue his devotee, Gajendra. And we can see that here. With his Sudarshan chakra, he cut off the head of the crocodile. Now this crocodile immediately he fell to the ground, and out of this crocodile came a form. So that living entity was liberated and attained moksha, liberation. He attained because he was killed by the Lord, he went back to the spiritual planet. Actually, there's a story where this crocodile was he was a person in his previous life. He insulted, I think he was a king, and he insulted a sage because he was very beautiful and the sage was quite ugly. He insulted the sage, and so he was cursed to become an ugly crocodile full of scales. Gajendra in his previous life was a king. As I said, he was cursed to become an elephant because he offended a very elevated person, a mystic yogi who was standing on one foot in a lake, and who was meditating. And at that time, that person, he playfully tugged at the foot. He tried to drown the sage playfully, and so he got cursed to become an elephant. So the Lord came to the rescue. So we can understand here from this that only when we surrender to the Lord, He rescues us. So we should surrender to the Lord by following His instructions, and we will get lifted by the Supreme Lord Himself, or will be rescued by the Supreme Lord Himself. So there's another worthwhile point here to make. So the Supreme Lord, He gave liberation to the crocodile first. He gave liberation to the crocodile first, and then Gajendra. So we can think like this is strange because Gajendra is the devotee. He's the one who called out to the Lord. So I would expect Gajendra to be liberated, but so Krishna, we know, he says, one who claims to be my devotee is not my devotee. One who is the devotee of my devotee is my devotee. So we know that here the crocodile, he was clutching on really hard to the foot of the elephant. So in the same way, we should also grasp the lotus feet of the pure devotees of the Lord, and serve them and please them, and only then will Krishna be pleased with us and shower his mercy on us. So that's just a little glimpse of this verse. I hope that you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please put a like if you've liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.